Welcome to Cinema Discussions. I am here with special guest Sammie Day, Disney fan extraordinaire, so we can discuss Finding Dory in theaters now, the anticipated sequel to Finding Nemo from Disney Pixar.
Long anticipated.
Yes.
Very long wait.
It's been over a decade waiting for this one. So before we get into any spoilers about the movie, we'll start off with recommendations for the movie. Would you recommend this?
Absolutely.
I think, we talked before in past reviews, I've talked about if you're a fan of this genre, you might be interested in it. For this one, I mean, if you like the first one, you're going to absolutely love this one. If you're a fan of Pixar, you're going to love this one. But, like, this one stands alone, too. I think unless you absolutely hate everything that Pixar does,
I think that you'd still get more out of it if you're a fan of the first movie.
Oh yeah, you get more out of it,
but it does stand on.
This is a solid film. I think while it's best to see the first one first, I think this is a movie that anyone can enjoy. So I definitely recommend it to everyone, kids, adults, everyone.
Of course.
Yeah. So now we're going to get into in-depth discussion of this. So spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie yet, because we're gonna go all in on this one.
Spoilers.
So, I've heard some people say that the movie's essentially the same as the first one plot-wise, but I don't think so. I think the only thing is, someone is trying to find someone else, and that's about it's
but
fish.
There's so many layers of searching.
Because in Finding Nemo, it's Nemo gets lost and his father's trying to find him. So you get part of the story. You're watching Nemo and him gaining his confidence, and then Marlin gaining the confidence in Nemo, so that he know that Nemo can take care of himself as well.
Yeah, and Marlin finding he's able to trust another fish.
Yes,
along the way.
And just trying to become brave himself after what happened with his wife. Mm-hmm. So, and all of his other kids. But in this movie, it's Dory trying to reconnect with her past and trying to find her parents. So we don't have the other side of it, like in Finding Nemo, where we're with Nemo the whole time, so we know where he's at. We don't know where Dory's parents are or anything about them.
No.
Which adds to it as they get close to finding them, or when she finds the other blue tangs, and they or is it that moment? At some moment, she thinks that they're dead.
It's when she goes home.
That's right. Yeah.
And everyone thinks they're dead because they're not there.
Yes. Yeah. So they first that's one of the first big emotional stings.
Oh
that
no.
They get you on.
There's emotional stings that entire time.
So what are some of the big ones for you that this one was?
Well, as a child of someone with dementia and Alzheimer's, the entire movie plot is someone with short-term memory loss and that fear that you're going to forget your parents.
Yeah, they play up that a lot more in this movie than in the first one. I mean, in Finding Nemo, you get the line that essentially makes this movie happen, which is her saying, her talking about, "Do I have a family? I don't remember." And like to get this moment, and then it goes away. Like they go back into comedy, but it hangs for a little bit on there about the idea of not being able to remember her family.
Exactly.
And so this is where they just take that moment, that emotional moment in that movie that they, they run past in the first one. And I think too, Pixar's gotten more skillful at manipulating people's emotions since Finding Nemo. So, as much as that one has emotional stuff in it, this one is just, they've taken what they've learned from Up and Toy Story 3 and
from all sides.
All of the ones that
not
they've
only
done.
do you feel for Dory, but you feel for her parents.
Yeah. And I mean the big climactic moment in this, and that just the entire theater crying. I think the whole theater was like soaked by the end of it, of just tears when I saw it. When she does reunite with her parents, or when she starts seeing the shells outside, and realizing that they've been planting these shells ever since they lost her, and still trying to find her. They've never given up.
Never given up hope.
And it's such a beautiful moment there as they reconnect with it.
It's that moment, but I think the most surreal moment, or that got to me the most, was her panicking that it showed her panicking and not knowing where anybody was, and the picture gets a little disorientated and dizzy.
Yeah.
And that was really real. I mean, like with the concussions even, like I've had short-term memory loss for bits, and that panic where you should know something and you're missing something and just not knowing that was a hard moment to actually watch on film.
Wow. But you felt they captured that.
Absolutely. It's the dizziness, the spiraling, you're missing something, but you don't know what. But having her calm down and be like, you know what would Dory do?
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah. It's I think that can help anyone else that goes through these moments, or if they haven't gone through them yet, but then remember these moments in that film.
I think all of Pixar just does a great job of advocating for anyone that's different. And this movie in particular is not just special needs, but it's anyone with anxiety or memory issues. It's just anyone that's a little different can be someone that's great, and not to take those people for granted. And Dory was just an excellent example.
Yeah. And then you also have confidence in general, and confidence in yourself and in other people when you get to see Marlin and Nemo going after Dory.
Yes.
When they get separated from them. And when Marlin is, saying that he's yelling at Dory, but then realizing that he's actually yelling at Nemo instead, and because he's afraid of losing Nemo. So all of his fears of talking about being afraid of losing Dory, while that's still sad, it's even the more emotional connection that he has is to his son, and worried that the same thing might happen to his son again.
Exactly.
Yeah. So on the lighter note of things on this,
yes.
like the characters in this, super great. I really like Hank.
Hank was great.
Pixar announced before this movie came out that he's actually been in every single Pixar movie, camouflaged in the background.
Really?
So that you can't really see him. Oh. I think they're just joking with that. But he actually was in The Good Dinosaur at one moment when the main dinosaur falls into a river. He's in the background there, and I've actually seen the footage of it afterwards. So since that was the one that came out right before they put him into it.
I have to admit, I actually haven't seen it. That's the one Pixar movie I haven't seen.
That's the one that most people haven't seen, and it's a shame. It's probably one of the least best of their movies, but still really good.
It's still a Pixar movie. I have to see it.
Yeah, it's still Pixar. It still made me cry. It had moments, like, not as hard as in the other one. It was like, oh, that brings a little tear. This one was one where it was that thing of I'm trying to fight it back, like see if I can not cry. Like, absolutely can't stop it because it was just too much in there. Yeah, you have Ellen DeGeneres as Dory. Albert Brooks returns as Marlin.
Destiny.
Yes, Destiny, so good. The both of the whales. So Destiny is Caitlin Olsen and Ty Burrell as Bailey, and he was great too. Of the thinking
life
that
is
he's
a rainbow.
unable to do his echolocation, and then learning that and finding his superpower. So another thing about finding your strengths based on what you
or realizing that you have strengths.
Yeah.
And kind of coming into your own. Exactly.
And then also you got to see some whales escape from captivity, so that was cool too. Sigourney Weaver, that was probably my favorite cameo in the whole thing, just as she's referred to as Sigourney Weaver, like playing herself.
So I do have to comment on that, because when they first showed the wildlife and the preserve in Morro Bay, I was scared it was going to be one of those movies or another Blackfish showing that side of things.
Yeah.
But I have a friend that works she's a marine biologist, and she's a dolphin trainer. She works, it's like the equivalent of SeaWorld in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And she's been against all of that. And her whole point is everything in that movie, that it is about releasing them, about what's the three...
I'm trying to remember the rehabilitation and release of the second two parts.
Yeah, so what's the first one?
Capture? Rescue.
Rescue,
rehabilitation, and release. Yes, those are the three things that they should be doing. And when I took, years ago, it was before Blackfish, but still, I still didn't like the captivity stuff. We went down to SeaWorld and took their behind-the-scenes tour, and they showed us where they do the rehabilitation. And the fish and marine life that they have that aren't on display, the ones that aren't part of their shows or anything. Now, those ones, SeaWorld does have that side of them where they do rescue animals, rehabilitate them, and then release them. They don't keep them for captivity for those ones. And they say that all the ones that they have, like, at a certain point, they had stopped collecting animals anymore, and were just keeping the ones that were bred in captivity. So, yeah, there is the nice thing about it. It's still the problem of the ones that are in captivity.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, I think Dory did a good job of showing the dark side of things, too. I mean, the poke tank.
Oh, yeah. No, that's not good. I mean, they had shown bits of that with even just a fish tank in Finding Nemo, like, sitting animal up there. But this was...
It made it more intense because, the problem after the first movie, that all the little kids wanted clownfish and wanted Dories.
Yes.
So in this one, I think they made it more clear, like, hey, like, they belong in the wild, not in your bedroom. Yeah. Don't poke.
Yeah, that touch tank is pretty terrifying.
It was. What's the movie that's coming out about the food? It's all animated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little like that.
Party.
The Sausage Party.
Yeah. I mean, that one's already processed food. It still makes you frightened with that, but these ones are living creatures with that one.
Exactly.
Still scary. Also, the shell. I really like the shell. the clam.
The oyster one?
Yeah, the oyster.
Yes.
That was a good, funny character. Can't find who played that one in here. But... just littered with good, funny characters throughout it. And it's still a very different journey than in the last one, because you don't have, like, the sharks and the minefield and all the dangers of that. But you're just learning. You get to see the characters that we met in the first one, at least a lot of them, like Crush and...
they make little cameos in there.
They help them out, but they still focus the movie on the sea lion.
And the sea lions.
So good.
There were just a lot of great characters, as always in Pixar, but they were... I mean, I know I keep going special needs, but those parents, and Marlon, or anyone that has someone with special needs or, like, the memory loss or anything, it takes so much patience, and, like, her parents were the best example of great parents.
As you keep watching them, teaching her and seeing what she's capable of and how much she can do. And so, yeah, they were still sad and concerned that something could happen to her, but understood that they needed to allow her to do things on her own and become her own person, which are the same kind of things that Marlon was dealing with Nemo. I mean, Nemo has just got his special fin, his lucky fin.
Right.
So... he knows that he's focused always on the limitations of what he can do, but I think the main concern with Marlon is just about losing him, because he's the only family that he's got left.
Marlon's already lost so much.
Yeah. So that's that concern on it, but it's still part of it where Nemo's completely capable. He knows he's got a limitation with his arm or with his fin, but he's able to do so much, and it's Marlon needing to realize that Nemo is capable of doing that.
Yeah, because Marlon wasn't in the fish tank in the first movie, so he doesn't know what Gil taught him.
Yeah,
doesn't know that confidence boost
swim through the ring of fire. Yes. So when I hadn't seen Finding Nemo in years before I watched this one. I didn't rewatch it beforehand. I watched it afterwards.
Okay.
So at the very end of the movie, it was the post-credit thing. So I didn't 100% remember those characters from the first one until I rewatched it, but it was a great moment of seeing them in their bags again. Well, they're still stuck, which is terrible.
But isn't it a year later?
Yes, they've been in that bag for a year. They probably should be dead. They don't really have food in those bags. So, yeah, it's kind of tough in there. I was hoping that they'd come across something sharp that they could cut the bag open with. But it was nice to see them again.
Yeah, they continued on the story and leave you with a cliffhanger on them.
Yeah. Maybe get more of them next time. I don't know.
10 years later?
Yeah. It's tough because I don't know if... I mean, as long as they've got a good story, they can do sequels to any of their movies. But it's another one of those where I think find it really tough to find another good story.
It is. It's just people do love that world that they created, and they don't want it to go away. I mean, even as just the film style, the waves are beautiful.
Oh, the animation for this. Okay, Piper.
The clip in the beginning, yes.
The short in the beginning was so good. Now, that's the kind of quality that if you watch The Good Dinosaur, the animation in that whole thing, the nature that they did, it looks like they just filmed nature.
Wow.
It is perfect. It is beautiful. And so when Piper began, it was that same quality of animation as in The Good Dinosaur. Now, they did a lot of good stuff with the marine life, or the water and things in Finding Nemo, but because the characters were still the characters from before, they didn't make them super realistic. It would have been a little weird.
Yes.
But like the little sandpipers in Piper were perfect. So good. And another like just beautiful story about someone gaining their own confidence and
making their own way, because he didn't do things the normal way.
No, he found inspiration from the crabs
buddy.
instead. Dig in there and you can see everything.
Exactly.
So he got his superpower in that one. So that was...
So is that the message, that we all have our own superpower?
I think so.
Yes.
I think that's, the way they talked about with the echolocation, that's what I cling on to on that. So in all of these, everyone's got their abilities that they can look for, and once they find what they're capable of and how great everyone can be, and everyone's got something in them that makes them great in that way. You just got to find that confidence in you. So yeah, I think that's the message I was getting from this as well.
Yes. Well, one of the many Pixar messages.
Yes.
And how cute was Baby Dory?
Oh, so adorable. Yeah, the baby fish with the giant eyes. And
I like sand. And the shells.
Just good. Any other favorite parts of this film?
Just the different ways that octopus, Hank, right?
Yeah.
Hank was able to disguise, maneuver, get Dory in a coffee mug. I mean, that octopus is smart. I mean, Septopus.
Yeah,
it's extremely smart.
Yeah, and he was self-motivated because he wanted to get out of there, get on the transport, and so everything he was doing was for that. But he learned the power of friendship throughout that. The driving that truck at the end. I can't think of how many people they killed in that car chase, because that was pretty reckless.
Hey, it's still not as many as the people who killed the fish. So
yes, exactly. Okay. Yeah. There's so many moments in that when I see crazy car chases like that, where you're like, there's some casualties that aren't shown in that one.
Yeah, I never even thought about it. So focused on making sure they got out okay. Yeah,
they got very lucky with how they were driving. I'm sure there were enough drivers. Maybe they had enough self-driving cars since they were close to San Francisco there. So like they all got out of the way and everything was good.
One of my favorite things too was the seals, because it's a Pixar movie, so they're talking, they're having this full conversation, but when the unibrow seal tries to get up, they turn back into seals. Off. It's the new mind, but they bring you, it's like it's animals, but then like with the personality, humans, then turn it back.
Yeah, it's finding the animal character within the humanity of it. Yeah.
It's a little disappointing clownfish isn't funnier.
Yes. They call him clownfish, but it's not that funny. Well, he's got his one joke, but he didn't say that in this one.
The mollusk and the cucumber?
With fronds like these, who needs anemones? Yeah, so...
There were lots of sea puns. I just can't remember them. I remember laughing because I love puns.
No, they definitely had good comedy throughout it in there. I didn't find all of the hidden things, the Pixar Easter eggs in there, because I always have to find those on second watches. But like the Pizza Port truck, Planet Truck, and the ball. I know that I was reading up on some of it, so I know that there's a picture of the girl in braces from the first movie in the background of the rehabilitation area. Something like that, and then the license plate number on the truck has A113 in it, which is in every Pixar movie.
Yes, that's the school.
That's the classroom number from the animation CalArts that Lasseter was in with a couple of the others. So there were
Always Easter eggs.
They're in there.
They're in there.
But they go by so fast in there. Before I rewatched Nemo, I looked up online which ones there were or where they were in that one, and even in that it was tough seeing them in that one.
I can remember noticing them while I was watching it and be like, oh. Yeah. But I don't remember now.
Yeah.
It's been a whole 2 days.
Yeah, I need to watch this one again already.
Yes. I'm just not ready for the feels again yet.
Mm-hmm.
Whew.
Yeah, it's it is a tough one. Bring your tissues. So the movie's already done super well. It made $185 million over the first weekend, and with a budget of $200 million, so it's going to make that. All the recent Disney movies like Zootopia and Lion King and other animated ones, they've been getting $1 billion. So I'm sure this one's going to eventually hit that.
Zootopia.
Yeah.
Didn't see that one either.
Didn't see Zootopia? Mm-mm. It's out on DVD now. You need to watch that one.
I just watched Star Wars yesterday.
So many movies.
For the first time.
Watch.
Okay.
I'm glad you saw Finding Dory so we could talk about it.
Absolutely, I need to see Dory. There's no waiting on that.
Any other things you want to bring up and favorite moments in this or issues you had? Is there anything you didn't like about the movie? I couldn't find any really slow parts in it all.
Well, it was. I did kind of have words. The unibrow seal. So it's all about accepting weird people, but then it is real life. You have that maybe awkward, annoying person that you don't want in your space.
And the seals may not be perfect people in that way.
Exactly.
So they're not accepting of that, but it's.
But it was funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's not perfect in the message of complete acceptance of everyone, but. It's still they have their little conflict, but he still gets the rock.
He does. He got the rock at the end, and Becky, ridiculous bird.
Yeah, and she had her usefulness as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, they still.
I love that you can trust. You can trust the ones that others might not believe in. Like you should always give people a chance first before you judge them.
I think the humans seemed a little better at this one because they were there for rehabilitating the animals. So, except for the ones in the touch tank, but the ones that were rescuing, they were they're a little nicer than the ones who were just collecting for their fish tanks. So, I think as humans we came off a little better in this one than in Nemo, maybe.
It's true. So I'm trying to shake fish. So,
on a scale of 1 to 5 stars.
Ooh.
I gave this one a 5.
For Pixar, it's 5.
It's one of those things where trying to rank it between other Pixar movies, that's a tougher thing than on a 5-star scale.
Everything in the formula for Pixar. I mean, it has the message, it's funny, it's beautiful to watch, it has all the good characters, it takes you on that emotional journey. Like, it is hilarious, makes you cry, and makes you think.
Yeah, the only things that it compared to other Pixar movies, it's it doesn't have the originality as much because we've been introduced to this world before, so it's not like in Inside Out or those where you're
right,
or the first time you're seeing any of these worlds. It's not you're not getting introduced to it. So it is tougher, like with Monsters University, Cars 2, but I think it's one of the better. I mean, this one's probably up there with Toy Story 3 as far as the sequels that they've done. I think it's better than... I liked it more than Monsters University and Cars 2 as far as sequels go.
Yeah, it's an origin story, and everyone loves Dory.
Yes.
So now you get more, and you get to understand why she is the way she is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good. So what would you... So 5 stars?
5 stars.
All right.
Yeah. And now I have to see Good Dinosaur and everything else?
Yes. See, check out the list. Let's Good Dinosaur and Zootopia. I know you gotta see those ones.
But see Finding Dory.
Yes.
Do it.
Thank you all for watching, and let us know if you've got movies that you're looking forward to so that we can review more of those. Thank you.
Bye.